Hello and welcome to Agile TD Mondays. Today with Diana Larsen, and she will tell you more about the Agile Fluency Model and what testers can expect from this. But let me tell you first that you have 14 days left to register for the Agile Testing Days. Come with your team and learn together. To find out more about our group rates, write an email to info@agiletestingdays.com. And now to you, Diana.
Hello, everyone. Are you going to, yeah, there, I'll start sharing my screen. Good to see you all today. And we're going to talk about the Agile Fluency, and start my timer too, so I don't go over time. Here we go. Great. Helpful apps that give you something else other than you want. All right, so we're going to talk about the Agile Fluency role for testers. And, you know, the point of this is that when we're working in an Agile way, we want the testers to be embedded in the team if possible, and if not embedded in the team, as close to the team as possible. And so as we go through this, you'll notice that. There will be a little bit, because we have to go pretty fast, there'll be a little bit dependency on you being able to understand something about the Agile Fluency Model. Let's undo. So we'll look at this. If you aren't familiar with the Agile Fluency Model, there's a URL on this slide that will take you to a page where you can learn a lot more about it. And there's also a link on that page to a talk by Martin Fowler about the Agile Fluency Model, and a link to the original article that James Shore and I wrote back in August of 2012. So this is the overall model, but we're going to dive deeper and look at what does it mean for testers. So we start always with a group of skilled individuals, some individual contributors who really know how to do their work. Their organization has provided them with the tools and resources to develop their product. They are probably getting their tasks assigned to them independently, and they probably are still throwing things over the wall to test. But savvy managers, savvy organizations, smart ones know that that's not the best way to get knowledge work done, work that comes out of people's brains and is creative. That's not the best way for that work to be accomplished. So we will make our first change and go to the focus on value part of the Agile Fluency Model, which is where everyone sees progress from a business perspective, and the business can redirect the team where needed. Those are really the benefits that an organization gets by having teams fluent in focus on value. That means that there is a culture shift for the teams, that they move from individual contributor, focus on individual contributor success, to focus on team success, which is, of course, delivery. So the team undergoes some changes, and if a tester is part of the team, they'll undergo those changes as well. They'll need to learn something about Agile. They'll probably get some coaching and training about how to work as a collaborative team, and maybe from some new Agile practices that are useful in their organization. Testing specifically will be doing a number of things, helping the product owners write acceptance tests, making sure that the team can understand what the work is and what will look like success for them. Testing will be included in creating a definition of done, because it's not done until it's tested in our Agile world. And testers also will be working very closely with the team to automate as much of the testing as is possible. For some organizations, that's plenty. And the organizations that like this, they have to make some changes too, learning to manage teams, dedicating team members. Because this is a presentation about testing, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the changes the organization makes, but you'll be able to see them on the slides. So the next shift in the Agile Fluency Model is to deliver value. And here we're looking at a different kind of shipping, not just shipping the next most important thing as it becomes done, but actually shipping frequently on a market cadence, capturing value frequently for the organization. And when we do this, we reveal our obstructions early, and so we can communicate the impediments and make sure that the organization knows what their part of the work is to get those things out of the way. So that means a shift in team engineering skills. The focus here is on agile engineering practices. So they're going to get a much higher level of agile engineering techniques, study and practice for those. They're going to have to open their minds to maybe things they hadn't thought about doing before, like pairing or mobbing or writing tests first, or many of those kinds of things that we know help to create cleaner code and help to speed up the process. And they're going to be cross-training, because teams that deliver frequently need to be able to rely on each other for some redundancy and skills. If somebody's gone, it can't slow everything down. So we want to make sure that when someone is gone, other team members can pick up the slack, including testers. Testing, the role of testing changes too. They're still doing all those things they were doing in focus on value, but now they're really fully a part of a cross-functional team. No more are they is there even an option for them to be outside the team. And they also are expected to become generalizing specialists. They may still be primarily in test, but they may be looking at where else would they like to contribute. Do they want to learn something more about the front end or the back end, or more about product ownership, or all the different ways that a team member can contribute. They're probably shifting to less manual testing, less scripted testing, and much more to exploratory testing techniques. So like the other team members, they are gaining more sophisticated technical techniques as they go along. And quality will enable continuous integration, deployment, and delivery. So the focus is on making sure that we can be rolling out the product as quickly as possible. The organization here is going to be providing the training and mentoring and time to do the practice and learning that is needed for the team to really up-level its skills, and have the patience to wait for people to make that happen. The third level in the Agile Fluency Model is outcomes, optimized value, making excellent, the team itself making excellent product decisions, having everyone that is needed to get product out the door on the team, and focused on anticipating customer needs so that they can eliminate handoffs and make very fast decisions about what direction the product needs to go. So now product is embedded in the team as well as testing. To do this usually requires an organization structure shift. I'll talk in a minute about how managers need to be doing things a little differently in the organization, but the ways that the team will be different is now product expertise also is embedded in the team. It may be a full-time, sitting with the team product owner, or it may be that some of the engineers and testers have learned enough about the product that they can step up and take that role of what really is needed to achieve the product vision. So the team will, often there's a little bit of a lag as the team makes this organization structure shift. So team members have to be patient with that organizational change. And they are focused on building trust with the organization by making sure that they are delivering what the organization needs. And they're learning more and more about the business and the customer all the time. Role of testing is shifting in the sense that now testers are more and more embedded in business knowledge, learning and communicating desired business outcomes. They may be, along with the product owner, being in that liaison role with the larger organization, or maybe the whole product development organization and the team. They are learning more and more about their customers and how their customer perceives quality. They're, again, working to the market cadence, and even more of an increase on exploratory testing, because now we don't want to just meet the express needs of the market. We want to understand the jobs they need to do and anticipate the needs that they may have coming up. So the organization has a lot to do. They're making cross-functional management teams, changing the way they think about what's important in the product, and really transferring a lot of the responsibility to the team, which is its own little internal sort of intrapreneurial product organization itself, focused on their product. There is a fourth area, zone, sometimes we call it, in the Agile Fluency Model that we call optimized for systems. And it is, it's different in that it is a whole organizational culture shift. We see this so very rarely. And at this point, I don't know if there are even differentiated roles. I think it may be possible that everyone on the team is kind of all hands on deck, doing whatever is needed, whether it's programming, testing, I don't know. We don't see enough of teams and organizations that are supporting this that we can really talk very much about what the role differentiation is here. So all of that, the most important question is, what zone of benefits does your organization need, and where are you now? Where are you working now? What kind of fluency zone, what level, what type of fluent proficiencies can your team express right now? What you see them doing? Where does testing fit into that? And is that matching the needs of your organization for delivery from the team? Those are the big questions. And we see organizations and teams at all of these different places on the model, which is why we call them out as distinct. And actually, many more than half of the teams are in those first two zones, the focus on value and deliver value zones. Another question to think about is, if your team is not in the fluency zone that your organization needs, what investment might you need to make to help testing and teams reach those benefits? How do we get there? What are the routes, the investment? And that's not just monetary investment. That's investment in time and attention and cross-fertilization across the organization. And does your organization have the will to do that? Mostly what the Agile Fluency Model highlights is the need for organizational awareness of their own expectations and what trade-offs they may need to make in order to manage their expectations. If they are absolutely focused on getting to all their teams to a certain place, and there's going to be quite a bit of investment made, maybe more than they can afford to get there, what parts of that are they going to make some compromises about? Where are they going to manage their expectations? So that's a big question, and that really is the question that the Agile Fluency Model will beg. Thank you, and I would love to entertain some questions, and if there's any part of this that isn't clear, I would be happy to talk about it. I'll go off screen share, but I'll keep the slides just in case we need to refer back to them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Diana.
Sure.
I have several questions. The first one is, how was this model invented?
Ah, okay. Well, so in about 2009, James Shore and I were getting impatient with the conversations that were going on in the Agile community about, oh, you're either doing Agile or you're not, or you're doing Agile or being Agile, and all those conversations. And the way Agile was being described didn't match all the experiences that we were having with teams. And so we began work on this model, and then and the first one was a pyramid, and we didn't really like that. But we took our model to a number of user groups. There's a conference that happens every year in our region called Agile Open Northwest. We would take the model to that conference where people would give us feedback on it. We'd take it away. We would revise the model. And over those 3 or 4 years, between 2009 and 2012, we kept refining and refining and refining the model until what we were showing people, they were saying, yes, that's right on. That's what we see in our organization. That's where we are. And at that point, we decided we should write the article. We got it all written up, and then we sent it out to a whole bunch more reviewers, and people like Ron Jeffries and Linda Rising, and also some practitioners within organizations that we respected and trusted. And the feedback that we got from all of those was also, this is right. This is what we see too. And so, and we wanted it to be a descriptive model. We wanted it to be something you could observe. And so also as a part of that, when we sent that article out for review, we asked people if they thought it was ready to be published. And if it was, where did they think we should seek to publish it? And when Martin Fowler wrote back to us, he said, I would really like to publish it on my website. And so we were, of course, delighted. And so then in August of 2012, it was published there. And it just sat there for a while. And then we started getting a lot of questions about how do we operationalize this? It's not enough just to describe it and observe it. How do we actually operationalize it? So then we started creating some tools and techniques around using the model in organizations, and we created the Agile Fluency Project a couple of years later to begin to disseminate that information as well.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly do you do to measure the fluency level? Because you said there are several zones.
Right. Each zone has a set of what we call fluent proficiencies, skills to master, team level skills to master. And what we want to see is the mastery in the team, not necessarily in individual team members, but we need to know that the team has access to mastery in these skills to draw on. Of course, the more team members that have those skills, maybe the more mature that team becomes in that level. But that's another question for another day. And so focus on value. There's a set of proficiencies that you can learn about. How, are we working effectively as a collaborative team? Does information flow well between and among team members? Are we incorporating testing mindset, testing thinking, testers as team members in our team so that we are creating quality product and we're staying focused on value, and those kinds of things. And so there's a whole set of those. It's much too long for us to go into now. But for each level or each zone of the fluency model, there are a set of those proficiencies. So then there's two ways that you can measure a team. You can learn what those proficiencies are. You can sit with the team, you can observe whether or not those are happening. That's one way to do it. And you just write down your observations and notice what's going on. Another way is a diagnostic instrument that we have created. And you can do, it's kind of like a very robust retrospective. You go in and you do this 2-hour workshop where the team reflects on how they're working together. Every team member takes an instance of this diagnostic instrument. We roll all those, all the results up, and then the team can see a pattern for how they believe they are doing with these proficiencies. And then when we have a number of teams do that, we can then keep confidential each team's results, but we can let the organization know overall, over all these teams, here's what we're seeing. So many teams are focused on value, so many teams are deliver value or not. What we often find is many teams think about themselves in terms of what they're able to stretch into, not in terms of what they're fluent in, what they do every day without thinking. Like how we speak our native language, we don't even have to think about it, right? We just talk. Well, so we want teams to get to that fluency, I guess is the best way to think about it. That's why we chose that word. We want teams to get to that fluency with their Agile practice and their Agile philosophy and their Agile way of doing things, not because we want them to be Agile, but because we want them to be able to deliver the benefits that the organization needs. That's the real end. Agile practices and philosophies are just a means to get there. And if better ones come along, then we should all adopt them. But right now, that seems to be the best set for software teams that we've found.
And my last question is this model useful for retrospectives?
Yes, it is. And particularly if you've done the diagnostic workshop with a team, they can identify, which proficiency areas, which skill areas they would like to get better at. And then in subsequent retrospectives, you can check back in and say, how are we doing? Are we getting to the level of mastery as a team that we would like to be at around that proficiency? If we have, is there another proficiency we'd like to begin working on? So it feeds very nicely into the learning and improvement cycle for retrospectives. And many teams use it that way. And the other way that it gets used is in conversations with leaders and managers. It's like, help get clarity about what you really expect from the team so that that's no longer muddy and unclear. And I run into a lot of teams in my consulting practice, my coaching practice, that don't really know what their organization expects from them. Nobody in the organization has really told them what kind of value they really do need to be producing. And is it enough that they're just always working on the next most valuable thing and that's predictable and reliable and that can happen? Or does there need to be a market frequency that's attached to that? Or do they need to be anticipating their market? Very often, teams just get this message, oh, go Agile, be Agile, because that's what everybody should be right now, without any real clarity about what that means in their organization or what's being expected of them. And, as somebody who focuses on workplaces that feel like the best job ever and the best place to work, that's not good enough. I mean, that doesn't feel like a good workplace when you don't understand what the expectations are for your work. And so this is a piece of creating better workplaces as well as better products.
Thanks for clarifying.
Sure.
Our time is up, but please stay with me because I want to tell the viewers of our bonus
I'll have some
session.
coffee.
Okay. Next week, we will have a bonus session Fiona Charles and Abby Bankser will tell you how you can get started with Speak Easy if you would like to speak at conferences. You can watch this episode next Monday on our Agile TD Mondays YouTube channel. Thank you, Diana. It was nice to see you again. Thank you for sharing your insight and some knowledge about your Agile Fluency Model.
You're welcome, Sabine, and thank you for making this opportunity possible.
You're welcome. I hope to see you anytime soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.